Okay guys, Razio here, what's going on? And today I'm going to talk about something near and dear to my heart. And I feel so much pain and hate about this topic. So, as you probably guessed, I'm talking about the current state of balance with the Death Knight class in World of Warcraft Legion and the decisions that developers have made leading up to this fiery rage that's in my heart and mind. So, as a warning, be aware that there's going to be quite a bit of naughty language going on during this. So if you're a kid or if you're offended, then get the fuck out of here, because you know what? You're going to be offended for however long this video ends up being. Now, also keep in mind that none of this is scripted, okay? I didn't write any of this down, so I may ramble. I'm pretty pissed off, but I'm going to I'm going to mention all the DK specs here and just how fucked up they've become in Legion. But I'm going to focus a lot on Blood, because Blood DK is what I have played for a long time. And since Middle of Wrath, I've been playing World of Warcraft since the last month of beta in vanilla. So, yeah, I've been tanking. I tanked all through vanilla on a warrior. I've been tanking on a Blood DK since midway through Wrath of the Lich King. And so I'm not going to go and say that I'm an absolute expert. I'm not a huge number cruncher and does all the fucking algorithms and shit to try to figure out to the decimal point which talent or which ability is best, and and when it's so fucking testicle hair close that you can't, then it's not really going to make a difference unless you're Bleeding Edge world first mythic raider. Okay, so but I do feel I know what I'm talking about. I do feel that I have a decent grip on this class overall, since I really haven't played any other class. I haven't mained any other class since Wrath of the Lich King. So yeah, let's just get right into it and how I'm going to start out. Before I even talk about all the ridiculous fucking nerfs and horse shit that Blizzard has been flinging at us, and their knee-jerk reactions to every little thing, and their complete lack of ability to listen to constructive feedback from the community, let's go into the talent tree for Blood specifically. Okay, so let's take a look at this fucking talent tree here and see, like, the design just baffles me completely, like just floors me that we're now, look at this, we're now 24 and a half hours away from US launch, 15 hours from EU launch, and this is the final composition after all the feedback that they got from many players on beta, alpha, PTR, live, and this is still, the shit show that we have to deal with. But nonetheless, let's look at this shit, and let's see what the problem is. So first, in the first tier, you have Bloodworms. Okay, Bloodworms used to be a baseline ability that Death Knights had. And, when it was a baseline, just a free ability kind of on the side, it was fine. Whatever, provide a little extra healing, a tiny, minuscule amount of DPS. Cool, whatever. Now it's a fucking talent, okay? And its auto-attack critical strikes have a chance to summon a Bloodworm, alright? Now, Jesus, critical, so there's so much RNG there. So first, you have your auto attack, okay? Your auto attack is not like happening a ton, right? It just happens. You can't really, speed up your auto attacks, at all. Really, I believe haste can increase it, but still, okay. So it's got a crit. Your auto attack has to crit, okay. But then it's still just a chance to summon a Bloodworm. It's not a guarantee to summon a Bloodworm. And then if you have Bloodworms, 5% of your missing health after 15 seconds, and if you drop below 50, it heals you. Okay, that's garbage. Okay, that's fucking trash tier talent. The only way this talent on its own, I'm not even considering the other talents in the tree, the only way this talent on its own could even be somewhat viable is if the amount of healing it gave you was either buffed significantly, or if it could proc from critical strikes from all your abilities, okay? Then maybe, just maybe, it might be worth something. But even then, it doesn't compete with Heartbreaker at all. Doesn't compete with Heartbreaker. So this is what everyone's going to choose, okay? I mean, more runic power per target hit, and when your D&D is down, you hit 5 targets. That's a shitload of runic power right there, okay? And this is something that's baffling my mind. Why is, and this is going to be something we see throughout the entire tree, but why is there a talent like Bloodworms on the same tier as a talent that grants runic power? Healing, runic power. Like, it's fucking dumb. And then we go into Blood Drinker, and this is probably, in my opinion, the second worst talent in the entire tree, okay? It's completely trash tier, and the only way this piece of shit would ever be of any use to anyone is if they changed it, that instead of draining health based off a percentage of your AP, that it was just a flat percentage, you know? But even then, if it was a flat percentage, it might be too good then. But as it is right now, this talent is never going to see the light of day, I mean, on any Blood DK. Okay, then let's go to the second one. This is the talent everyone is going to pick. Rapid Decomposition. Because it's a good talent. It's a good fucking talent. And it's because it's really the only talent in our tree that increases our runic power generation that's viable. Okay? These two. Look, runic power. Okay? That, you see what I'm saying here? Like, you get some more runic regeneration from that, and you need it. Because your Death and Decay is up almost 100% of the time. I mean, there's very little downtime in Death and Decay. It's a must-have. Then I'm going to skip this for a second. I'm going to go to Spectral Reflection, and this is a half-decent talent. It's half-decent. But guess what? Nobody is going to fucking pick it, because you're not going to take this, which is situational, right, over this, which is a constant thing that pretty much makes your class function, alright? This ability, if we didn't have rapid decomposition, our class would not function. Because if you don't have runic power, you can't death strike, and it's as simple as that. And then, so this could be moved. This could be buffed a little bit, but it needs to be not competing with this. Okay, so it's in a terrible spot. I mean, again, whoever designed this must be a mongoloid baboon or something, because it's just beyond me how they fucked this up this bad. And then you go to Soul Gorge, and this, in my opinion, is the worst fucking talent in the entire goddamn tree. Okay, it's so bad. Consume your blood plagues to give you rune regeneration. Now, as far as I've been able to play on beta and on live and PTR, how fast your rune regens isn't that big of an issue. It's not something you're like, oh man, I have no runes, doesn't happen very often. And when it does happen, that's gonna, as the expansion goes on, that's gonna steadily become even less of a problem, because you'll stack haste. Every Blood DK is gonna go for haste and crit, or crit and haste. One of the, no one's going to go for mastery because it's completely gutted and it's trash, but we'll get into that later. So this would still be somewhat useful if you see that passive right there. Blood Boil no longer applies Blood Plague. So instead, if you pick this piece of shit, then you got to use this piece of ass ability, Death's Caress, to individually apply your diseases on every target, which each one will cost a rune, so you rune starve yourself that way, and then you use this, and all of a sudden all your dots are gone, so you're not getting the passive healing from Blood Plague anymore. You're not getting any of that shit, so you just fucked yourself, because now you got to reapply all the diseases on all the targets. it's I'm fucking baffled. Like, I'm shocked. I'm stunned that this talent is in the game as it is. Like, it's completely useless. Like, when I consider a talent a trap talent, it's a talent that you shouldn't be picked, but it's got that, that little edge, like you're married, but there's that really hot hooker on the corner, flashing her tits at you, and it's, you know, asking, if there's a place nearby you guys can quote unquote hang out. It's talents like those where you're like, oh, maybe this might be good, that are trap talents, but this isn't even a trap. I mean, this is like a fucking this is like a fucking bear trap that's laying on your bed right where you're gonna set your genitals down when you lay down to go to sleep, and it's right in front of your face. Like, who would do that? Who would pick this fucking garbage? Okay, so no, Blizzard, what the fuck? Okay, then in this tree we have Ossuary. All right, everyone again is gonna pick this. Why? Because it lets us death strike more often and gives us, as a bonus, 10 more runic power. Okay, this is going to make death strike us able to heal ourselves longer. Okay, so people are going to pick this. This is a trap talent. Okay, blood tap. So it gives us a rune, has 2 charges, and you can get a rune. But as I said earlier, rune starvation is not a huge problem, and it's going to continually become less of a problem as you gear up. So, it's, yeah, don't ever take blood tap. Okay, anti-magic barrier. This, in my opinion, is another trap talent. It's not as tempting as blood tap to take, but it's a fucking joke, because if you AMS because you're like, oh shit, I don't have any cooldowns, which if you don't have any cooldowns at that point, well, I'll get into cooldowns later, because realistically, blood decays right now don't really have any damage mitigation cooldowns. That's a whole other fucking story. But if you're using this as a desperate measure because you're dying, that means you're not going to have AMS up when you actually need its real effect, preventing magic damage. So this is also completely useless, and no one's going to take this. Yeah, now how this would be effective if it said anti-magic shell also increases damage absorption, or anti-magic shell prevents 50% or 20, even 25% physical damage during its duration, then hey, it might be good and might be used in certain situations. But as it is right now, nope. Okay, Mark of Blood. Mark of Blood was in the game back in Wrath of the Lich King. It was primarily used in PvP to piss off rogues. I mean, that's what I use it for. But in this iteration, it's bad because A, it competes with runic power. It's another runic power spender, so Death Strike's better. So it's not that great. I mean, yeah, it stays on the enemy for 25 seconds, but the amount of heals is so minuscule that it's garbage. The only way this could even be effective is if they buffed how much it does from 2% up to 4 or 6%. I would say probably 4 to 5 is probably more, not too overpowered. And then you would even then, you'd only take it against a boss that you knew had like a super fast attack speed, or did something, buffed itself at some point, like Halphus in, the Bastion of Twilight, how he keeps attacking faster and faster and faster and faster. This would be useful. But as it is right now, it's not. Red Thirst. This is the talent that every fucking DK is going to take, because it's our only real CD is Vampiric Blood, other than Dancing Rune Weapon. Again, I'm getting to that bullshit later. But Red Thirst is the only way to get as much uptime as possible on your Vampiric Blood. Okay, so every DK takes this. Then you go to Tombstone. This is another trap talent. Okay, you get runic. You consume all your bone charges, which pretty much leaves you butt fucking naked. You're gonna take. You're gonna hit hard, get hit harder than a fucking college freshman hitting a bong for the first time, and it's gonna it's not feasible. It's not viable to do this because even if you had 10 stacks of Bone Shield, which, by the way, against a boss or even any kind of medium to fast hitting mob, you're not going to be able to keep 10 stacks up all the time. You're going to be floating probably around, if you try to save them, 6, 7, 8 maybe. And you're only going to get a 3% of your max health per stack that you consume. So it's a trap fucking talent. How they could fix this talent is buff it to 6% of your max health, and I would even say instead of you get 3 runic power per absorb, what if it gave you for every 2 or 3 stacks you absorbed, it gave you a rune back. So that way, at least right after you hit Tombstone, you can get a Bone Shield up. And you don't have to sit there and time it to where you're like, okay, I gotta make sure I gotta stack up bone charges, but I also at the same time have to not have enough runes after I hit Tombstone to get some more bone charges. It's just not possible. I mean, it's possible, but it's not viable. Okay, why would you do that when you could do this? Okay, so fuck Tombstone. Okay. Tightening Grasp. This is the other one that everyone's going to use. Gorfine's Grasp is the only utility spell any Death Knight specs really bring. I mean, you can argue that, Frost and Unholy bring Chains of Ice, blah, 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 and they're a regular Death Grip, but Tightening Grasp is like the most unique utility out of all the classes, out of all the specs for DK. And my problem, this talent how it is completely fine. Okay, it's fine. My issue is not with the talent. My fucking issue is with Gorfine's Grasp itself. Why is it a 3-minute cooldown? Gorfine's Grasp should be a 2-minute cooldown. And then this should take it down to a 1 minute, or if that's too overpowered, this should take it down to a 1.5 minutes. Okay? Like 3 minutes on a cooldown on our only real utility spell is horse shit. Okay? So yeah. I mean, every DK is going to take this, because Tremble Before Me, which is a fear effect, which, by the way, we had back in Wrath, and it was kind of overpowered, especially in PvP. That's all it's going to be used for now, if at all, is for unimportant, lulling, fucking around with your friends PvP, and you want to troll them by getting them feared over and over again. I tested it out on beta. There's a couple, there's some dungeon pulls that are kind of useful because it interrupts mobs that normally aren't interruptible, but it's still, what you're doing Mythic Plus and you're kiting mobs all over the dungeon, you're not actually tanking them, you're going to want this for the 70% fucking movement speed. Okay, it's way better than this. And then March of the Damned, I probably should make a whole other video on DK mobility in general, but, fuck this. This is only ever going to be used in PvP at best, and PvP is the only place this will ever be used, and probably Arena. Okay, 2s and 3s. Will of the Necropolis, fucking garbage. Okay, it's a little bit of a trap, but it's anyone who thinks for more than 2 seconds and has any fucking brain cells at all in their head will realize that this is a trash talent, because if you're below 35% health, you're already kind of fucked, and you're already probably not playing well. Or if you took a hit that big and you're at 35% health, your healer is going to heal the shit out of you so fast, you're going to be death striking, you're going to be hitting vampiric blood. Yeah, you're not... This is garbage, okay? Don't take this. Rune Tap. This should be fucking baseline. If they removed Icebound Fortitude and gave it to Frost, let Frost and Unholy keep it, fine, they needed it. They need it too. They need it, but shit, even if Icebound Fortitude was still just 20% and Blood had it, that'd be great. Or give us Rune Tap, 2 charges. Have a button to press for actively mitigating fucking damage. Just like Blizzard, railed on about how that's what they want tanks. Tanks be reactive. Tanks be, throw up their active mitigation. And DKs have no ability in the game other than Tombstone, which no one's going to fucking take. And other than our piss poor pathetic blood shields that actually prevents incoming physical damage. If we had this baseline and then maybe move, I don't know, Spectral Deflection over here. Or buff Tombstone, move it over here. The Rune Tap should be baseline, bottom line. Rune Tap should be baseline. This right here is a huge trap talent right now because people will take it and it's you know you're gonna spend runes on it and miss getting Foul Bulwark, which is what everyone's gonna take. Because if, like I said before, if you're sitting around in between 6 to 10 stacks of your Bone Shield pretty consistently, you get good at gaming it, and you get your Bone Shields, you get good at that. You're gonna have so much more health, especially in Legion with tanks sitting in the millions of HP pools. I mean, this is a no-brainer because if you take this, you're less likely to run into a situation to ever need this, and you're less likely to run a situation where you need this. So this should be baseline. This is what everyone's going to take. Okay, 100, the 100 tier, right? Purgatory. Everyone's going to take this, just like they did in the other in Warlords, just like they did in fucking Mists of Pandaria. Everyone takes Purgatory because it's the only good fucking ability in this tier. I mean, that's going to be, especially for progression. If you're progressing, on heroic, mythic plus bosses, this is what you're going to take because it's going to, it's your, it's passive, but it's an oh shit button. Even though it's not a button because you don't press shit. Because that would be too much for Blizzard. Give us active things to press. Everything's fucking passive in this goddamn game now. Okay, so you get Purgatory, and it's going to prevent fatal damage. And since we're so reliant on healers, tanks in general, so much more reliant on healers, it's pretty good. My only concern with it is now that our self healing has been nerfed so hard, and our blood shield has been nerfed so hard that you might run into the issue more often where you get that healer heals you get a death strike off, but the heal is just enough to heal the absorption, and then the next boss swing kills you anyway because you didn't heal enough over to take the next hit because you don't have Rune Tap baseline. You can't hit that to prevent some damage. Fucking Christ. Alright, so then we have Blood Mirror. Blood Mirror is pretty much, it is a 20% damage mitigation, and it also redirects the damage to your target, but that's going to be more used for DPS. I guarantee you, most people, after they have content unclear, there's really no danger that they're going to die, to mechanics and things like that. They're going to take this to get a little bit of DPS increase. But the bottom line is, for this talent to be competitive in progression with Purgatory, it needs to be mitigating. I'd be fine if it says it mitigates 30%, 40%, and then returns still just 20%, for the small DPS increase. But a 2-minute cooldown with only 20% mitigation and a slight DPS increase is not. You can't justify taking this over Purgatory. You just fucking can't. And then Bonestorm, again, there'll be some 5-man content, some trash polls where this could be useful, but is it going to be more useful than Purgatory? No. Again, this is going to be something where they're on farm, they don't need Purgatory anymore, they're just going to pick one of these just to fuck around with, okay? But it's not going to really, actively change gameplay. It's not going to really do much. It's a fucking joke. This whole tree is a fucking joke. This is how it's going to be. Okay, all expansion until Blizzard starts making changes. And we all know how Blizzard makes changes. What they're going to do, instead of buffing these piles of fucking horse shit, they're going to nerf these things to try to force people into this garbage. That's how Blizzard works, okay? Especially with the Death Knight class. They don't buff, they fucking nerf you. Okay? That's just what they do. So now I'm going to go over here to the artifact, okay? Now, some huge fucking nerfs have come into the game. And they're nerfs that totally could have been avoided, and the backlash could have been ignored, if it could have been avoided as well if they just would have fucking listened to the feedback that they got. All during alpha, all during beta, all during PTR, even during live, people were saying, hey, Blood Boil's doing too much damage. So what does Blizzard do? Nothing for a long time. Then they nerf Bone Shield to go from 20% damage mitigation to 16. Okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Then they fucking nerfed Red Thirst It used to give you even more time off your vampiric blood cooldown. Okay, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Then, I'm pretty sure they nerfed Ossuary as well. I'm pretty sure it was more runic power. It was reduced by more runic power. I could be wrong. It's late at night. I don't know. My fucking mind's all over the place. But then, okay, so they nerf those things. Then they nerf Heart Strike's damage, which affects how good our artifact is. Because now, Blood Feast and Vein Render are not as good. Okay? They're not as good anymore. And we do less DPS. Fine. We still got Blood Boil though, right? Fucking wrong. Literally 48 hours before the launch of Legion, they nerfed Blood Boil's damage by 39 fucking percent. That's ridiculous. Like, so now Blood Decays do shit DPS AoE because of the Heart Strike nerf and the Blood Boil nerf. They do shit DPS single target. Their healing once again has been reduced, so their mitigation's been reduced on top of the Blood Shield nerf and all that shit. So these two talents become less effective. Okay. Then on top of that, this talent right here used to be good. It used to be fantastic. It used to be like the go-to. This is the first thing I'm going to grab in my artifact tree. Some people say it still is, but now it's literally only a fucking DPS increase. 25% just death strike damage. That's all it is good for. That fucking, while Blood Shield is active, you gain 25% leech and damage. Leech. No. You don't. Because it's, your Blood Shield lasts 1/18 of a second. Because even if you were a moron and you stacked Mastery, your Blood Shield would still not even survive one boss melee hit. It's gone in one hit. So, you don't get any benefit from this. Any damage mitigation benefit, healing benefit, nothing. You get nothing from this. Okay? So it's like, what the fuck? I mean, what's the point of having this there at all? Why not just change this to be Death Strike deals 25% more damage? Or hell, help us out here. Have it say Death Strike, damage increased by 25% and increases your Blood Shield by 10% or something like that. Or when you Death Strike, you also then get a small heal over time on yourself. Something like this is the decisions Blizzard, I swear to God, when they decide what they're nerfing, what they're buffing, it's like they are drunk in a room with darts, throwing fucking darts at a wall filled with post-it notes that has nerfs and buffs written on them that were just random. It doesn't make any logical sense. And people say, oh, they're buffing it, they're nerfing it based off of 110. Guys, these numbers aren't going to change from 100 to 110. They'll be bigger numbers, than they are at 100. But most of these are all percent based, so they're still going to be the same effect. They're still going to have the same bad effect on, how the class plays and how it survives. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to end the video here, and I'll do another one hopefully soon. I know Legion's coming out, so I'll be playing that quite a bit, but I'll do one hopefully soon on what I think about Death Knight mobility. And the other two specs and how they're faring right now with DPS, because we know the whole debacle about lore saying, yeah, they're supposed to have low mobility, but that also means you're supposed to feel strong up close. Well, yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, I'll get into more of that later, but it's getting really late here, guys. It didn't really mean for my first YouTube video ever on my channel to be this long, but I'll have some more, hopefully lighthearted content for you guys soon. And if you liked the video, if you laughed, if you found it, informative, or hey, even if you fucking hated it, subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And I'd like to know what your comments are and your thoughts are about what's happened to, especially I guess because of this video, Blood Death Knights for Legion and horseshit nerfs that have been coming left and right. So yeah, keep it real, guys.